Hi. Okay. I'm going to take my mask off so that the deaf community can read my lips because I can't sign fast enough. Sorry. But what else? What else is going on in pop culture these days? Pop culture news.
Bunch of stuff just happened. We just saw there's a leak out there for the trailer for Spider-Man No Way Home.
Oh yeah, I don't want to discuss the leaks.
Straight up.
Anything else?
The first pictures of Gore the God Butcher have surfaced.
Oh, Gore the God Butcher, played by Christian Bale, right?
Christian Bale. That man's going evil.
Is he gonna talk like this the whole time? I'm Gore the God Butcher.
We're talking about the Spider-Man one.
Oh,
Okay.
What else?
Hawkeye, they had that single picture leak. Not leak.
Hawkeye, single picture.
Yeah.
Okay. And we already know that it's gonna be like White Widow on collision course with Hawkeye.
Yes.
So that should be fun. I'm glad they brought that character. I finally finished Black Widow, and I tell you, so you know that scene at the very end where White Widow is like on top, standing over the engine. She's like, "Yelena, don't!" And she's like, "This has been fun." And like, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't that like just the end of my army career? But like, did yours feel like that too?
No.
This has been fun. Body rocked everywhere.
Yeah, this is number 2.
Anyways, any basketball news? I don't know basketball.
Lakers are about to take it.
Cam says Lakers are about to take everything, which wouldn't surprise me. I'm a Lakers fan. So, what else?
The nightmare team from the 2000s.
Excuse me, the best team ever was the 80s Lakers.
I'm talking about the team, the all-star team that they tried to pull together with
Oh, you're talking about the Olympics team?
No, Karl Malone, and they had the Shaq and Kobe. It was too many alpha dogs, and then they ended up losing in the finals, and then that was it.
Yeah, there's only one alpha dog on the Lakers. It's LeBron.
No.
4 rings in.
I can't say I'm a huge LeBron fan.
Yeah, he brought here to the city another championship because y'all were not kissing the
Yeah, I guess.
LeBron
To be honest, somebody made that joke, and you were like, yeah, okay.
So that was Josh with his Kawhi Leonard.
No, somebody made the joke that if Space Jam was real, LeBron would have left their team and joined Monstars.
Probably.
If it was real, LeBron would be in the middle of the floor rolling with his.
KD lost to France in the Olympic last week. Oh, that's crazy. Yeah, I don't know. I've been following some of that Olympics drama. Jeez, there's been a lot of drama.
I gotta start watching Olympic trampoline. I want to see. I hope someone got hurt.
There's Olympic trampoline?
Yes, it is an actual Olympic sport where they just jump and bounce and do flips and stuff.
What?
And then you got the coaches and the guys with the pillows to make sure that if they mess up, they don't hit the frame and maim themselves.
What?
It's an actual thing. People.
Olympic sports are weird these days, man.
It's ugly. It gets real ugly sometimes.
All right. Okay. Well, I liked watching the guys shooting BBs. I was like, wait, they're shooting actual BB guns? Oh, hell yeah. So that's dope.
There was an Army second lieutenant or Air Force second lieutenant that won a medal.
Nice. Okay. Well, any more pop culture news? Or are we good? Should we get to the reviews?
I think we kind of got through all yesterday.
I think we got through a lot of it yesterday. We'll get right to the reviews. Let's start it off with Earth's mightiest heroes, the Avengers. This is World War She-Hulk. We saw kind of a nightmare scenario in the last issue that centered around Jen being killed by the Red Room of all places and being sort of brainwashed and experimented on to create a Red Hulk version of Jen that is loyal to Moscow. That's twisted. That's why. Actually, the Red Room is not technically loyal to Moscow, but just has a lot of them Russian team members. Anyways, so that's pretty messed up. It's Jason Aaron, Garrett, and Curiel. This issue in particular picks up where the last one left off. I liked it a lot. We also kind of do get to see Steve Rogers in a rather upgraded, cool-looking, high-tech suit. So that alone is worth the price of admission. This is a really, really good read. You should not skip it this week at all. But you kind of should have read the last one. I'd say reading the last one is almost required reading for that. But get them both. They're good. Next is Dugan, Loraz, and Gracia, and this is X-Men. And I think I talked about how the last issue felt like the most X-Men of X-Men comics. It really felt like it was a callback to the old days where, oh no, there's something giant attacking and we need the X-Men, and they call all the other teams, but they don't need them because it's the X-Men. This is kind of more of the same, although it puts them in a really hard situation where, Jean is sort of feels a bit outnumbered and Cyclops is, blasting through, and it was honestly pretty fun. But again, Dugan is essentially saying, like, this is what X-Men used to be, and it's a fun way to relocate. Are you guys located in NC, North Carolina? No. I was in North Carolina when I was at Fort Bragg, but no, we're in California. I wish, man. I wish. Anyways, so this is just more of Dugan doing the same. It's a really, really fun read. I think you do need to be an X-Men fan to read this, whereas the other X-Men titles, they kind of, in my opinion, they've won me over and made me an X-Men fan, but this is one of those where I really think you have to be into the X-Men to pick up with what Dugan's doing here. Why do I have this random bag and board in the middle of my stack? Ewing, Bennett, Jose, Bravo, and Mounts. Look. Oh, God, look. It's going to be my pick of the week, and they all called it. Immortal Hulk is, without a doubt, my pick of the week. Why is it my pick of the week? Well, there's a lot to unpack. The very beginning of this has a quote from Dante Alighieri from Dante's Inferno. Dante's Inferno. And if you don't know that story, it's when the main character goes into hell and also goes through way of perdition and through way of heaven. And it's an epic poem that spans, I don't know how many pages. It's gigantic. This is a tribute to that. It is told in a very poetic way with like descriptions, and it even opens with a quote from Dante's Inferno. And it's really, a bunch of characters going into hell. And they even do the gateway to hell and, the abandon all hope, all ye who enter, which has since become such a trope, but that's where the original quote came from. So this is a beautiful, beautiful read. And for issue number 49, right before the last issue, which hopefully they get Bruce Banner out of hell, we don't know. But the last issue of Immortal Hulk is 50. It's ending at 50, which is breaking my heart saying it because it's been such a good book. This is beautiful, amazing, and outstanding. And honestly, it's definitely my pick of the week. And really, everyone predicted it in this shop because I tend to pick Immortal Hulk. I'm a little biased on that stuff. Next is Orlando Padilla Colwell, and this is Transformers King Grimlock. This is a weird read. We all know Grimlock is kind of a hothead, leader of the Dinobots, and doesn't really follow orders very well. Well, this is essentially Grimlock in the Savage Lands. That's what it is. He winds up in the Savage
him on his home planet.
Pretty much. That's what it feels like. And there's a little bit of political intrigue with tribes, I guess, at the end of it. And how and why he gets there is kind of a weird thing. Honestly, there's not a lot to unpack with this book. If you like Grimlock and you like the Dinobots, or you like sort of that Savage Land Tarzan type feel in your books, you'll probably like this. This is essentially Transformers meets fantasy. It was pretty good. I don't know. The cover makes me think they're going for a Conan motif, and they haven't quite got there yet. It's an okay book, not the best. Next is, who wrote this? I have the variant. Let's see. Chapman, Mooneyham, Bayreuth, Menez, and Jim Campbell. Okay, so this is Lasher. There is a ton to unpack with this issue, but honestly, of all the Extreme Carnage, it is called Extreme Carnage, right? Yeah. All of the Extreme Carnage issues, this has to be my favorite. One, it introduces a new symbiote that is actually pretty cool and kind of a cool way to utilize that. Plus, the symbiote is, different. Different enough that we've never seen. Well, we've seen it, but not in another form, is I guess what you're going to say. It's a different sort of symbiote. And it kind of changes the face of the symbiotes from Marvel in a way. Because we've never seen one of these symbiotes with a voice. I don't think. Have we ever seen one of these symbiotes with a voice? I don't think we have.
they all kind of talk to some degree.
Yeah, but not this brand of symbiotes.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. So, we're going to see something that changes everything. Plus, I don't think we've ever seen Lasher in this form. He's like a giant spider, like with legs everywhere, and I don't recall us seeing him in that form. We've seen him with a bunch of tendrils, but never quite like this. It's honestly really cool, wicked, and fun. And, well, there's some back and forth and some twisted stuff. It's a very horror comic, which that's how Extreme Carnage should be. But I had the best time with it. It was such a good read. And I'm saying that as somebody who is a Venom fan, so it takes a lot to impress me. And of all the Extreme Carnage books, this one was the best. So I might even pick this one up. And I know this is the Scotty Young variant, not the main cover, but God, isn't it a gorgeous variant? Yeah, I really love it. So anyways, this is going to be the symbiote pick of the week. Should I say that? There you go. The symbiote pick of the week. And there's, no, maybe there's not. Maybe that's the only symbiote book. Anyways, next is, the main cover. Thank you. Here's the main cover. And the main cover is really awesome, too. Is that Alex Ross? I mean, it looks like Alex Ross.
It does.
I don't know. Next is Taylor Brisson, Stokio, Noto, Portacia, and Rosenberg, and this is Deadpool, Black, White, and Blood. Now, they've been doing these Black, White, and Red, Black, White, and Blood, Black, White, and Gold, Black, White, and it's both DC and Marvel that are doing this. And each one of these seems to be like they're filled with several stories centering around the characters. And I've been a little critical of them. Some of them are fun, some of them are okay, but it's some of the stories, it feels like two good stories in one throwaway with both of them. This one I absolutely loved, and I'm saying that as somebody who's like, Deadpool stuff is either really, really gimmicky and I don't like it, or really, really hysterical and I have a good time with it. This falls in that camp. It was really fun, and there's the first story centers around Deadpool and Honey Badger hanging out together and trying to handle a situation, and it's just fun. I mean, because Honey Badger considers Deadpool to be her best friend to begin with, so them bonding on stuff and fighting something that was actually kind of hysterical was a good time. The other two stories were good too. I actually did have a good time with both of them. That first story just completely stole the spotlight, and that alone is worth the price of admission. So really good showing. If you are a Deadpool fan, you will love this. And if you are not a Deadpool fan, or you're somebody who's like me who kind of is on the fence from time to time, you will still love this, I think. I think this is the book for you to get as far as Deadpool is concerned. Next is Taboo, B. Earl, Davidson, Varegi, and Brown. This is Spirit of Vengeance, Spirit Rider. Now, who is this character again? I can't remember her name. It's going to drive me crazy.
My mind too.
Kushala, the Spirit of Vengeance. She's actually, they call her the Demon Rider, I guess. She is a Native American woman who, I can't remember, she got her powers in a Ghost Rider event not too long ago, right, Nate?
It wasn't the King of Black one, right?
No, I don't think it was the King in Black one. I'm not super familiar with her. What I am familiar with is...
She did have a one-shot for King in Black, though.
She did have a one-shot for King in Black. Okay. She's a really cool character, and she teams up with Johnny Blaze to sort of get to the bottom of things in this. And without spoiling too much, I had a really good time with it. But what really steals the show is the art. The art is ridiculously good. And it says Varegi is on this, and I'm assuming he did the cover because it looks very, very much like his style. But the inside of the book also feels like his style. So if you like that kind of tribalist style art with your comics, you will love this. And I had a really good time with it. But his style is very distinct. So you know when you start seeing it, like usually they just show his style on the cover. This is a whole book filled with something that feels like his style. So it's fun, it's vibrant, it leaps off the page, had a great time with it. And, you know, Ghost Rider is always a good read for me. So this will be on our shelves too. Next is Tmnt, the best of Casey Jones. Now, Casey Jones, obviously, if I'm a giant Tmnt fan, he's a character who is near and dear to my heart. And I have loved him over the years because usually it's like Casey and Raph going off and doing their own thing and getting into trouble. These are very Casey-centric stories, to include a couple where there was a bit of trauma. and something that happened. One where he's just sort of chasing down a bull statue, which was a hysterical side story from the original comics, and another where there was some deep-seated trauma. So they're really hitting it out of the park with this book. Like, these are the Casey stories that I wanted. The third one is a more modern story that I wasn't entirely sold on. But again, two good stories. One, he was okay. But I think when you buy this, you're getting a full trade paperback worth of stuff. And a really distinct cover, too. So it's honestly, this is only $5.99. You're essentially getting like a $10 trade paperback, maybe even $15 trade paperback. Certainly if it was Marvel and it was this thick, it would be $15. So there's a lot of reading here, and I would say don't skip it. Even if you're not a huge Tmnt fan, Casey is a character that's still really fun. So I'd say don't skip it. Don't skip it. Next is Star Wars War of the Bounty Hunters, centering around, well, this is the Bounty Hunter book. And this one's still about Valance. And I got to tell you, I read the whole thing, and it was still wholly forgettable. I just don't like this character. Does anyone in the shop like this character? Terminator in space?
Yeah.
Nobody does. It's not a Valance is his name. It's not a good name. It's not a good character, and it's not really memorable. And the weird thing is this is the War of the Bounty Hunters event, so the Bounty Hunter book should be taking center stage, and it doesn't feel that way. And each time I read one of these, every time he's in it, I'm like, which is most of them, I'm like, just not feeling it. He's not. He feels to me. He feels like discount Han Solo crossed with the Terminator character that's sold as a bounty hunter. That's putting it lightly. He's not a character I like very much. I don't know anyone that does. That's the sad thing. Do you?
Not really.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, Cam doesn't either. Next is Shand Xavier. Okay, so I should have given you a verdict on it. Verdict is it sucks. I don't know if we have a lot of subscribers to it right now, so maybe I'm wrong, but I haven't had a good time with any of those books. Next is Shand Xavier, Dela Cruz, and Esposito. This is Van Helsing and the Invisible Woman. Now, I have not hidden that I do not have a good time with a lot of these Zenoscope books. The art tends to feel a bit generic, and it's usually just an excuse to draw. It feels like an excuse to have a main female superhero running around in a sort of, I don't know, corset or bikini. And this one actually was pretty good. I didn't hate it. I had an all right time with it. It centers around, well, a collision course between the Invisible Woman and Van Helsing. And obviously these are brands that Zenoscope has dusted off because they've hit, what's that called when something is so old that it becomes public domain? They've hit public domain. So that's what Zenoscope does, is they scoop up public domain characters and tell new stories. But I had a good time with it. I wasn't bored. I chuckled a couple times. There was plenty of action to entertain me. So, yeah, as somebody who's super critical of Zenoscope books, this one kind of won me over. And it didn't feel like just an excuse to run around with scantily clad women. Apparently, Zenoscope Universe is now in Second Life, it says in the back. That's weird. Why would you want to associate with that, Zenoscope? Okay. Next is Ewing, Flaviano, and Rosenberg. It's the Infinite Destinies Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, this one includes Infinite Fury. Oh, that's right. There's the Nick Fury story at the ending, which I actually didn't read. I probably should have.
I just read the one in the 4 yesterday.
Did you? It was good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Nick Fury stories, and I don't get enough of
it
them.
kind of ties into Black Cat, like the mainline Black Cat as well.
Yeah, I don't get enough Nick Fury stories.
Iceland Black Cat that he's trying to prevent, but
yeah.
Yeah.
That fight in Black Cat, you read that, right?
Yes, I did.
Oh, so good. Oh, okay. So if you're a Nick Fury fan, I didn't read the backstory, so I can't tell you if it's good or not. And it's just weird because I'm a big Nick Fury fan. This centers around Hercules meeting the Prince of Power. Now, I got to tell you guys, the Prince of Power, he has a magic sword and a lion-looking pet, and his enemy has a skull. And he raises that sword to the sky, and he says,
By the power of Grayskull.
yeah, by the power of Nobler. Nobler. Okay, so this is Hercules meets He-Man is what they're doing. They're doing sort of a He-Man parody. And it actually works really well. If you don't know, Hercules is actually on the current Guardians of the Galaxy team, and I kind of like him. He feels like a salty war veteran at times, even though he's a god. And him dealing with He-Man-esque characters, they're not even hiding the fact that they're He-Man characters. It's very overt that it's a He-Man inspired character, and it's fun. I had a good time with it, and I think you will too. This is a great read. So I'd definitely add this to your books this week. You'll have a good time with it. The Bounty Hunter title sucks. It sucks, dude. It's garbage. Like, if they had to... The thing about it is I think the Dr. Aphra writing fell off in, like, the first few issues, but it's come together. And I think if they have to cut a Star Wars book, it needs to be that Bounty Hunter. No, just kill off Lance and replace it with a Mandalorian of some kind. Or, I don't know, go anywhere else. Hell, even give it to Boss K. I'd have a good time with that. Boss K is cool. Oh, and speaking of the devil, Older, Zama, and Sobrero, and we're talking about War of the Bounty Hunters, Forlom and Zuckuss. Now, Forlom and Zuckuss are two lesser-known bounty hunter characters that both look like insects. And they actually wind up teaming up, and then also, they butt heads, and then they team up in this. And oddly enough, I don't know very much about these characters. How much do you know, Cam? Cam doesn't know a thing about these characters. Yet, I had a really good time. There was a ton of action. There is a character that really reminds me of General Grievous and gets dealt with in a very comical, almost like you wanted to see Grievous get dealt with it in that way, and that worked for me. Tons of action, plenty of intrigue, and a little bit of a heartbreaking ending. So I love this. This is how the mainline Bounty Hunters title should be, honestly. It should be like this. This is sadly just a one-shot, but you will have a good time with this if you pick this up. This one's great. Next is McKay, Guara, and Consoni, and this is, the amazing comic, Magic the Gathering. Who knew that Magic the Gathering was going to be that good of a comic? I mean, I guess it makes sense. It comes from Wizards of the Coast, which scooped up D&D, so just amazing storytellers in general, holding one of the best games in the world in their hands, with two of the best games in the world, with D&D and Magic the Gathering. But, God, this comic is such gold. Really, really good comic. It centers around the Planeswalkers dealing with stuff, but I got to tell you, the way they deal with stuff is pretty funny. One of the Planeswalkers has sonic powers, so she uses the powers at one point to scream at this giant, oversized dinosaur to try and deafen it and handle it. Turns out the dinosaur is deaf, so that power didn't work. So now you've got Planeswalkers running from dinosaurs. I love everything about this book.
You gotta tell me that story someday.
It's fantasy. Oh, you got to tell me that story. I don't want to reference that on camera. It's fantasy done right. It feels to me like it's Critical Role, but with a lot more Game of Thrones political intrigue. Everything about this Magic the Gathering title is amazing, and I want to know so much more about the Planeswalkers world. More importantly, I want a role-playing game where it's not Magic the Gathering where you're playing a Planeswalker, but you're actually role-playing the Planeswalkers dealing with these sort of situations like they're handling.
Oh, like a D&D?
In the Magic the Gathering, where you get to be a Planeswalker. Like that, that would be dope. God, this is out friggin' standing. I love everything about this book, and just definitely go buy it. The art is amazing. The story is amazing. Do not skip it. Indie pick of the week, Magic the Gathering, without a doubt. Next is the Dookie Loop horror of Invader Zim. This is such a good. I love Invader Zim. I absolutely love Invader Zim, and this one centers around him dealing with. Dib's got to deal with a time loop that Zim has created, and the time loop itself centers around, space poop. Yeah, so that's kind of funny, weird, a bit stylized, but it's just an excuse for an Invader Zim cartoon in comic form. And they always knock it out of the park with these. They nail it every single time. It feels right. It feels like you're reading an Invader Zim cartoon. The art is done proper. The story is fun. You get the exact same sense of humor. And, Dib gets beat up by his sister multiple times, which is pretty much how it happens in the cartoon itself. It's good. I had a great time, and I think that's worth the price of admission. Next is, it says created by Joss Whedon in the tiniest possible font I've ever seen on the cover. You guys see this? Can you see that from there?
Really?
Look how tiny that created by Joss Whedon tagline is. Lambert, Pinty, and Julo, and we're talking about Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Oh, man, this cover is amazing, and I believe that's Anya in the magic shop. But this Buffy story, well, Buffy has tapped into the multiverse and has actually crossed paths with her 90s self, and we're going to see how that's damaged the multiverse, and more importantly, we might actually see an army of Slayers being built across the multiverse. This is a very Marvel thing they're doing. Go figure. It's a comic centering around Buffy. Why wouldn't they reference Marvel stuff? It's fun. I had a good time with it, and I think you will too. More importantly, the demons they're fighting are really sort of wicked. Think Ghostbusters dog form type demons. And they're kind of similar to that. So I instantly bonded with it. I had a good time. Now, I can't remember this character, so you're going to have to help me out here. Tess Stone. From the co-creator of Rick and Morty, Trover saves the universe.
Oh,
is this a Rick and Morty character?
No, this is not nothing I recognize.
Oh, okay. It feels like, I mean, the name is Trover, so it looks like sort of Grover, like with the Muppets, kind of, but with weird eyes and stuff like that.
Because I mean, they did the weird eye hole bit, and that was weird.
It felt like a Rick and Morty episode, but not quite being a Rick and Morty episode. They're running around stabbing things, hiding from things, like trying not to get caught by more sinister things. And it felt like I was reading Rick and Morty. But more importantly, I mean, it felt more Rick and Morty than the mainline Rick and Morty title still, which is weird. But so I had a good time with this, and I think if you're a Rick and Morty fan, you'll probably have a good time with this too. It's not bad.
It's from the same author.
One of the co-creators.
Yeah.
Next is Matteo Pizzolo. Anna Muckraker, and we're talking about tomorrow's God Killer. Who read God Killer? Cam, did you read this?
No, I was asking you about it. It didn't kind of top of ours.
So the art is good. Like, I like the art. It feels very anime at times. The story is just strange, like really strange, out of body stuff. Somebody being seen by somebody with magic eyes that might be stolen, bartender type stuff. It's really strange. But I mean, like, if you like some weirdness in your sci-fi, you like some strange sci-fi stuff, you probably like this. It's dark, sinister, and weird is the best way I can word it. And I think that's exactly what they were going for with this. So good job. Issue number 1 was much, much stronger. I'd say go out and buy issue number 1. See if you like it. Then pick up issue number 2 if it works out for you. Issue number 2 was a bit more surreal than the first one. That's all I'm going to say on that. Next is Gu Miyazawa and Hearing, and we're talking about Silk, issue number 5. Now, this is the wrap-up. We finally get to see what's going on with that giant cat. It's giant hairless cat that she's been fighting, which is pretty creepy. I'll give it that. We do get to see the ending is very Silk. It was wrapped up really nice, and we get just a nice exchange between J. Jonah Jameson in regards to Silk. I honestly love how much that he's grown as a character, and how much this spider, like, can I call them the web of spiders that center around like the Parker universe, the 616 universe. All the different spider characters sure seem to bond with old J. Jonah Jameson, and it's really touching now.
In the Silk comic?
Even in the Silk comic. Oh, he had an exchange in, I think, the second issue with her, where she showed up on like his balcony. He's like, you're not the first spider person to show up on my balcony. And he invites her in, feeds her, and like has this deep talk with her and stuff. And he's also her boss. So there's such a good exchange between them. I had such a good time. It was lovely. It was great. And as far as wrap-ups are concerned, it was spot on. So I had a good time with Silk. And I think if you've been on board with this, you will love this ending. It was great. Next is, Antool, Elmer DeMasso, Brian Valenza, and Jim Campbell. Deep sigh. Here goes. Horizon Zero Dawn. I love the cover. I love the Peach Momoko art cover. I think this is a variant. Yeah, it's a variant. No, cover A. Peach Momoko. So this is the A cover. The cover's great. The story, not so much. But it falls victim to the same thing I've always said. Good video games don't usually make good comics. In fact, video game brand comics tend to be garbage. This one, I wouldn't say it's garbage. It's not horrible. It's just not great. Like, nothing stood out for me. It was okay. It was a lot of I've heard, I haven't played the game, but I've heard that the game is a lot of like giant robots. Like, it's like Jurassic Park with robots. I didn't get a lot of that in this. It felt more like politics of the human tribes, and it's not really what I wanted. But again, video game brand comics, not the best, and this just doesn't really break the chain, in my opinion. It's okay. I think if you're a Horizon Zero Dawn fan, you'll probably love it. I think anyone else, definitely not the book to jump in on. Next is another book that I love, but I'm really, really, really biased towards it. Dugan, Zurcher, and Tartaglia. This is Savage Avengers. So the last issue of Savage Avengers, Conan went and knocked on Doctor Strange's door, and the door opened, and Doctor Strange was standing in another realm talking to Shuman Gorath. Is that how you pronounce his name? Shuman Gorath?
Yeah.
I nailed it for once. Which is a giant tentacle demon, looks like sort of, what would you, Lovecraftian, with a giant eye.
He's supposed to be like one of the elder ones.
Yeah, he's one of the elder gods. So he was standing there talking to him, and Conan steps through the door and is like, Strange, I told you the first time I met you there's a reason why I don't like dealing with wizards. And it was the most awkward moment from Conan and Doctor Strange I've read, which is a tribute to Jerry Dugan's writing. It's amazing. So this picks up from that, and more importantly, it's dealing with the fact that Shuman Gorath might actually be the biggest victim to the evil wizard from Conan's universe. What's his name again? It's Gath, right? It's like Colon Gath or Kuran Gath. I can't remember his name, but he's a wizard from Conan's universe, and everybody's mad at him. And he's a cannibalistic wizard at that. So they're dealing with that, and this is more of that same. But this issue really does center mostly around Doctor Strange and handling some stuff and fixing some stuff for the other heroes. It was great. But I really love Savage Avengers. I'm very partial to it. Where's my soda? Is that my soda?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's not your deal, yeah.
Well, my throat's going, but hey, we got one last book, so go figure. The last book on the Marvel and Indy books of the week is a Mad Ghost book, the Image imprint, and this is Jeff Johns, Gary Frank, and Brad Anderson. This is Geiger. Now, we've talked about Geiger before. It centers around, a radioactive guy hanging out in a desert who encounters two kids that were separated from their mom, and he's trying to help them out and get them to safety. Meanwhile, the clans of Las Vegas, who are all themed depending on the casino that they're residing in. I said we'd seen this before. We'd seen it in Fallout. It's very Fallout New Vegas-y. Yeah, okay. And most of the other issues did feel like they were referencing that. This one deviates from that. They actually go to a government compound to try and get the kids to safety, and things might not be as they seem. I had an amazing time with it. And oddly enough, I'm going to have to tell you guys that this is, without a doubt, the best Geiger issue I had to date. That includes the first one. I like the fifth one more than the first one. It was great. There was plenty of action. There was a lot of twists and turns and unexpected directions, and the art was just outstanding. So if you've been a Geiger fan, and I'm sure you have, because Jeff Johns doesn't really release a bad book, this one is the best. Do not skip it by any means. Go out and buy it. Not my indie pick of the week. It's a close second to what was my indie pick of the week? Oh, Magic the Gathering. Close second to Magic the Gathering, but right there. And that's going to be our show for this week. Do you guys have anything else to add?
No, sir.
Don't forget, Free Comic Book Day is coming out not this Saturday, but next Saturday, and we will have troopers here from, are we going to have 501st or no?
It's on the fence with 501st, but
we haven't heard back. We're going to have Rebel. Yeah, Mando Mercs and Rebel Legion, right?
Yep.
And the Mando Mercs people are always really awesome. We don't encounter them enough, but the Rebel Legion people have been literally with our store since the beginning and helped us out through almost every event we've asked. They're amazing. So if you need Star Wars troops to do an event, I can't recommend the Rebel Legion enough. Which particular chapter?
Oh, it's called Endor Base.
Endor Base. So
really
the Rebel
cool.
Legion Endor Base is amazing. And anyways, that's our show for this week. We love you guys. We will see you next week. And hopefully we only have one show and not two, because, man, what a week it was. Let me tell you. Ending.